Hi, my name is Rachel Furman, and I'm really excited to talk to you today about how to use Edpuzzle, and specifically how to use Edpuzzle with a walkSTEM video. The benefits of using Edpuzzle with your walkSTEM video really make it so that your students are not only witnessing these real-world examples, but you're actually giving them the opportunity to participate with the video. They're responding to questions, and you're making sure that they not only see the information, that they understand it, and you're probing them to really think beyond just the video and apply it to their own lives. It's really helpful if you start students off with one of these Edpuzzles. This way they've got their thoughts, they've gone through some questions, and then if you bring them into a Zoom meeting to actually discuss as a whole group, you can have them share out some of their thoughts on the video and some of the answers they specifically used in those Edpuzzle responses. I'm going to go ahead and show you how I would make an Edpuzzle from a walkSTEM so you can see how you could do this for your own students. So here I'm on the Edpuzzle website. I've selected one of the walkSTEM videos. I'm going to start adding some questions, and as I go through, I'll be able to explain why I chose a certain question and what I'm hoping to get from students by including it. So I'm going to go ahead and start the video so you can see how we'd go about adding those questions in.
What is that mathematical idea that maps are fundamentally based on?
So right here, he starts off by asking, what is that fundamental idea that maps are based on? This is a great place before he says it himself to see what your students are thinking. So you can go ahead and type in a question. What is that fundamental idea that maps are based on? Now, your students may already know that it's scale. They may think about something else, and it's okay if they don't immediately come up with scale. It's just a great way to get them to start considering what this video might actually be about. So I saved this.
We've actually already talked about.
And students would right here be able to go ahead and answer. This is showing you what the preview would look like from your student's view.
We've actually already talked about already in the tour. Scale, similarity, ratios.
Right here, he said scale, similarity, ratios. I think it's a really important time to make sure your students know what scale means. So you have a couple options. Here, my first thought is to add in an open-ended question. You could ask students, in your own words, what does scale mean? Really easy way just to kind of get their thinking going. Another benefit you can is that after they answer this question,
the notion that we can take,
you can add in a note to tell them what scale is here. He's going to start explaining it, but it's definitely helpful to provide your students with some context. You might say scale. You could say it's when, there's a ratio between a drawing and a real life object. The ratio present between a drawing and a real world object. This way you know all your students are grounded in what he will be showing and in what these examples will be about.
One shape.
So this note will pop up in the video so that your students can check that whatever response they gave to that open-ended question is accurate.
One shape and make another copy of the shape with everything blown up by the same factor is extremely powerful. And now we can see the structure of the entire mall at a glance. And all we need to know is one measurement on this and one measurement in the real world, and suddenly we know everything about the mall. It's an incredible.
So here he's talking about why scales are important. This is another great place where you can probe your students' thinking and ask them, beyond just this example where there's a map of the mall, why would scales be helpful? How could they use these in their own lives? Or where have they actually seen scales used? So some question, beyond just this mall map, where have you seen scales used? Where do you think scales would be helpful to use? This is the type of question that I would want to later on come back to with students. Potentially, if I bring them all into a Zoom, maybe they had done this during an asynchronous lesson, then they come to my synchronous session and we can all share out our ideas. Why are scales so important? Where have we seen them? Where do we imagine they could be used beyond just this specific example?
incredibly powerful technique. So, well, we're right here at swatch. So I'm gonna measure the width of swatch on the map. It's 1/4 inch. And now somebody can help me. We'll measure swatch in real life.
So here we see that he's doing two different things. It's really important that students understand that he's trying to determine what the scale is. In order to do so, he needs to know the measurement of the store on the map, as well as in real life. So here's a great point where you can ask students, why is he measuring the store on the map and in real life? So here, ideally, students will say so that he can determine the correct scale. If they aren't sure, it's important that they realize that. They can always go back in the video because he does talk about it. They have the option to re-watch when they're given this question. So either they can answer or they can re-watch the video to help them figure out that answer.
Okay, very good. Just right at the corner there. Perfect. And okay, 16 feet exactly. So we now know that 1/4 inch on this map is 16 feet. So if we take any measurement on this map, multiply the number of inches of the measurement by 64, we'll get the size of that thing in real life in feet. And now we can ask all kinds of questions.
So here he starts talking about what that measurement is. He says they take anything on the map and multiply it by 64. Here's a point where you can give your students some examples. You might say a store on the map measures 1 inch. What is the size of that store in real life? Just to kind of confirm that they had seen that you have to multiply it by 64. So then you can put in your answer choices, and then they would be able to actually go ahead and practice with what they just learned. So from that one example, you can start to see how you can really get your students thinking beyond just the actual mathematics, beyond just the video, and then considering how they can apply these concepts in their own lives. I definitely recommend assigning these Edpuzzles during asynchronous sessions so that students have an opportunity to really think about this information and think about their answers to questions, then bringing them together so that they can share those ideas with one another. Obviously, this Edpuzzle program is very powerful, especially when combined with these walkSTEM videos. I'm really happy I was able to share this with you today, and I definitely hope that you're using these in your own classrooms.